Hello again, my name is Anne Marie Zanzel, and welcome to Coming Out and Beyond LGBTQIA plus stories. I am an ordained minister, bereavement counselor, conversationalist, spiritual wanderer, later in life lesbian, change maker, blogger, author, mom of four beautiful children, wife to my lovely wife, Tonda McKay, a northerner living in the South and trying to figure it all out. I share the stories of people who are coming out later in life to the LGBTQIA plus community and other queer stories. These stories are compelling, heartbreaking, joyful, and inspirational. I started this podcast because we need to normalize exploration of sexuality and gender at all ages. Plus, visibility is vital to the queer community. It's never too late to be who we are created to be. My guest proved that. Hi, this is Anne-Marie Zanzel, and welcome to another episode of Coming Out and Beyond. Today, I'm so excited to have my guest, Christine Terpening. She is a later in life lesbian, and we both sort of came out about the same time. She was maybe a couple of years behind me, and she has been helping me now for the last couple of years in my own group, posting our Working Wednesday post every Wednesday, which I deeply appreciate, Christine. So why I want you to introduce you to Christine is that she's done something really phenomenal, which I have been watching from afar. She started a rural support group for LGBTQIA kids who are in rural America. And the name of this group is called I'll Be Your Rock. Now, the funny thing is that she started it only 6 months ago and has found all kinds of support in her community and also has a lot of kids attending. Well, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I'm not sure, the kids suggested to Christine that they would like to have a pride event in their small town of Vermontville, Michigan. And with the help of Christine and their supporters, they are having this event this weekend, right, Christine?
No, it's actually August 20th.
Great. And so I would like to welcome Christine to our show. And by the way, she is also the owner of Happy Sue's and Company, and she's got a lot of cool queer apparel. We'll have all the links in the notes afterwards. So welcome, Christine. It is so nice to have you here today.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So Christine, tell me your story.
Well, I grew up in rural America. You can't get much more rural than Vermontville, Michigan. I grew up loving my town, loving the school system I was raised in. But I was raised in a time where I didn't really understand what was going on with me. You know, a few years ago, I might have said what's wrong with me, but now I just know that I was gay, and it's just something I didn't really understand. A lot of things, you know, were confusing, and it wasn't until I was an adult and established in my life before things started to make sense. And by then I was married to an absolutely wonderful man. And we have three just fantastic kids. I could brag all day on those kids. And they've been a huge support group for me. But then you know, when you're gay, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So it came to a full boil, and I just couldn't keep it contained anymore. And I like to say that I fell out, crashed out. I did not come out gracefully out of the closet.
Most of us don't. You know, how can you come out gracefully out of the closet?
Well, I know I do have some friends that I go, wow, they're handling this great.
Yeah.
They feel like it, but I'm like, wow, compared to Chris Terpening, they're doing a great job. But so that was a long road. It's a road I almost didn't survive, actually coming out. And but life goes on, and if you keep it in forward motion, things started to get better. And I have three kids that support me greatly. My family supports me, and So once you get out of the fire, you turn around and help other people out. And last October, I was watching the news, and there was a story about 60% of LGBTQ plus kids either consider suicide or self-harm. And that blew me away. I mean, because I've been there. I've been there as an adult where I didn't know, you didn't know how you were gonna get to another happy day. And
So, I really understand that. And you and I were both adults when we came out. We were both married. We both had children. We were fully christened adults. And can you describe, like, what were some of the feelings that you had during that time?
shame.
Shame?
Shame. Lots of
Mm-hmm.
embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
Shame is pretty big for me. I
Mm-hmm.
just felt ashamed that I could have the world by the tail. I was a volleyball coach. I was the mom who did a lot of volunteering, and I was just kind of everywhere in the community. And I had this beautiful farm, a wonderful spouse, and these three great kids. How could this be me? And how could this ever turn into a life that felt like I was okay to be me?
Yeah. Well, I think I really understand that because, you and I both know there's something called compulsory heterosexuality. And I think you and I got really caught up in that in our younger years. And, we were expected to get married and have a family. And that was, and also, by the way, it was something I wanted too. I did want to get married and have a family. But the thing is that we started to check all the boxes, right? Marriage, family, nice house, nice life, nice community. And we're still restless and something's not quite right. And you can't figure out what it was. And so when we start coming out, a lot of times there is a lot of shame involved, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
And then guilt.
then so
I'm sorry?
shame can do a person in. It really,
Yes.
and there's absolutely no shame in being the way God made you. So
Yeah.
I've learned that I was so wrong. I was just wrong in many ways. So it feels good to, once you leave shame behind on that, you can leave it behind on the way I came out and all of it. So
Right. So um, last October, you were watching this newscast, and then you heard the story of the LGBTQ kids attempt suicide or self harm, and you understood that deeply because you had just been through this whole process yourself. So what happened?
well, being a volleyball coach for many, many years, I'm a little privy to things maybe that parents aren't privy to or friends. And I had a vision in my head of some kids that I love very much,
Mm-hmm.
on the court and off the court. And those faces, I just couldn't imagine this world without those kids. And I mean, I saw that. Then Vermontville had a suicide of a kid that had graduated, but still very young, around my kid's age. And I don't know what that child's story is, not at all. But I thought, that's God telling me I need to,
Do something.
you got through this. Now help them get through this. And so I did. I mean, within 3 days, I was on. This story said that if gay kids know just one openly gay adult, those numbers dramatically decrease. And also, if they have one rock, be it just an ally, if they just have one rock, those numbers decrease. So I had been out, but quietly out. And I just knew it was time to come out loud. And that's what I did. I made a Facebook post where I'm friends with just about everybody in Vermontville and Nashville. And I talked about that. And I said that if you need to know an openly gay adult, I'm that adult.
Wow,
And
Christine.
yeah, it was a big step, but that's all I needed. That was the spur in my belly. And by January, I had planned and I had my first meeting. And in that first meeting, I had tons of books by people that are supported by you in your support group. I had games and books and money coming from as far west as Washington, as far east as New Jersey, as far south as Texas and Minnesota. I mean, all these very fine women that we call our friends, and
Our community,
yeah,
our later in life badass bitches community. They truly are. They truly
really
are.
they came through for these kids. And to be from such a small rural area, and for me to say these people love you from so far away, and they're telling you you are perfect the way you are, no matter how you're made. We're celebrating you. In that first meeting in January, I had one 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 child,
One brave soul who came.
one brave soul who came. And I had a couple adults that were queer, and they came, and we sat and we played games and we had a good time, and we didn't talk at all about being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what my support group is. Then the next month I had a couple more, and then a couple more moms, and then to last month we had 2 tables full of kids, with some amazing kids, and talking about some hard things they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And we did it while playing games, and them learning about me and me learning about them. And then the parents of some other kids that are there, we're all just such a wonderful support group. And when I said these kids need a pride, these rocks, we call them rocks, they're all part of the rock pile. They stepped up, and we are going to throw a humdinger of a pride in Vermontville, Michigan for youth. It's all geared towards teens and younger and their families. And I went to Maple Valley High School, and it sounds like we're having quite a homecoming of people that felt like they had to move away from Vermontville or Nashville, Michigan, that they felt like they had to move away to be who they are. And they're moved to tears that this is happening in our home. And they're coming home.
I may come up to this to see this because I am like, I would love to meet them and some of the kids. And also, I think it's really important for the kids to know that there's ministers that are gay. As you know, Christine, I'm an ordained minister, and I don't talk about it a lot, but a lot of times kids get really hammered by the church. By some churches, and are told they're sinful, their very nature is sinful, or told they have to be celibate their whole life, or all kinds of things. And so even for them to see a gay minister is so helpful for them. So someone's listening right now, they live in some tiny town in Oklahoma, a rural town. What are the steps they should take to do this?
Well, I'm not sure if I did it right or not, but
Apparently, because you had 2 tables your last meeting, so word of mouth, it sounds like, yeah. But also, what did you do?
well, I started by stepping out on Facebook and putting it out there that I was going to start this. And then I started to make, I don't know what you call them, like little Facebook posters, and putting it out on what's happening in Vermontville. And that wasn't exactly terribly popular with some people that give you the angry face, but I don't care. I don't care. The mic drop on this should be that this will prevent suicide. It will be life-changing, if not life-saving. So, I mean, if they have hate, they can bring it on, but there has been so little in this small town. And it starts to bring out all the allies. And I thought I was alone I thought I was the only one. My whole life, I thought I was the only one. And when I started this, all of a sudden, all the queer community that lives in this community who are quiet and they don't broadcast it like I have been, but they have been fantastic. I didn't know they were out there, and now they're my friends. And yeah, and these kids, whether they choose to stay in Vermontville and raise their kids, or if they choose to move away, but they will move away knowing they could be who they are in Vermontville and that they came from a community that loved them, because it has been overwhelming, positive, lovely that this community is embracing this. I'm not saying there hasn't been hate, and I do think the haters think I'm not aware of what they're planning, but if it's said about me, I mean, I've lived here 51 years. If it's said about me, it comes back to me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I know where they're going to be.
So are you preparing for protesters?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We
Okay.
will have police presence there, and yeah, we've got a lot of plans that they're not going to ruin our day. This is
You
about
know, one thing that I always thought would be really amazing, and maybe somebody listening to this, or like a church community that is UCC or Disciples of Christ or ECLA or Metropolitan, is that I always thought it would be so amazing if a church group came and sang hymns so they could shout out, so they could drown out the protesters, you know?
well, I was in with my business, Happy Susan Company. It's very important to me that I not just go to big cities and where I know that I will be making, you know, a huge profit. But I took my business to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's like a good 10-hour drive to a community that is, they don't have GM for, you know, for jobs and things like we do down here. I knew that it would not be maybe my biggest payoff, but when I went up there, it was a huge payoff. Those kids that were so grateful that I was bringing really cool queer products up there, and they did have a choir. They had their local choir singing.
Ah,
And for my pride, there's a congregational church in Charlotte. I would like it to be my own hometown because I've attended the congregational church and they're coming around. But and they're wonderful people. I love these people. But it's the congregational church in Charlotte. It's, to you, it'd probably be a small town, but to me, it's a big city. And they are whole hog supporting this pride. They're giving out to every kid, not just, they didn't get Christian books. They got books about being queer, things that would speak to these kids. And I think that's the greatest thing. They're not pushing religion. They're pushing religion by example. And
right,
more thing.
right.
Mhm.
What's the best thing about doing this?
Sitting at a table, trying not to cry because I'm a big boob. When I have got all of these kids from the country sitting around these tables, teenagers, you know, I think maybe our oldest is 19, down to our youngest is 11, and they're including this child and they're laughing while, you know, maybe a rock is talking to another one about some hard things, and everybody's getting what they need. Sometimes they just need to be, and to be in a group of people where who they are is not any source of controversy or shame. Because you talked about religious trauma. There's a lot of that
Right.
around. I'm sure, I know that it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we've got some churches that, and I know these kids have told me they still have to go with their parents to church. And how hard would it, well, I know how hard it would be to sit in a pew and hear things that make you dive a little bit deeper into the closet, a dangerous closet. And I've tried to point that out, and it doesn't matter. I guess that's how deep religion goes. Love isn't always
Well, yeah, when I came from, well, I have had quite a journey in religion. I went from Catholicism to evangelical to now the UCC, which is very
Mhm.
progressive congregational church. And what I was really like when I first came out and started working with women coming out later in life, 80% of us come from some sort of religious tradition, often conservative. And you can't just say to people, oh, God loves you. It's so much more complicated than that because people are worried about the existential questions. They're worried about whether, will they go to hell? What if they're wrong? All kinds of things that it's not an easy solve. You know what I mean? But it's just not. It's like it's called deconstruction, and it's people slowly having to deconstruct their faith and move away from what they've been taught. Sometimes this is the thing, though, is that I've been starting to do a lot of work around religion recently, and the thing is that that some people, when they just reject religion totally, and then that's it, they're done, which is fine. And I am like, it is whatever people have a right to their own journey through life. And so that's what I'm talking about, is that they reject religion, but the thing is the religious seeds are still planted in them. So, for example, if somebody's not going to church anymore, not going to synagogue, not going to mosque, they can reject all that and not be a part of it. But those seeds of shame and guilt and what they learned about being gay or queer when they were young are still in there. So we sort of have to learn how to either tear them up or recultivate them so that they can be a different way for people. And so, like what you're doing right now, I'm so admire it so much, Christine, because I know, like, I think to myself how my life would have been different if I stumbled upon something like that when I was young, you know?
Well, that means the world to me because I hope these kids, I hope they never realize what they had. Know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
I hope they never realize just how great this is because it helped them so much to avoid some of the things that I went through, that you went through,
hmm
that a lot of us have gone through. I hope everybody can check shame and guilt and fear at the closet door.
that would be lovely, wouldn't it?
Would. Yeah, it would. Yeah. It's awfully freeing when you put all that behind you. And I'm probably very lucky that I wasn't raised in a church quite like that. I don't have that kind of religious trauma at all. My friends went to some that they were just very judgmental people that went to these churches, and we know that's nothing we wanted to be a part of. I tell you, I think I've joked with you before that I went to the church of Dolly Parton, and everything. Oh,
I
between
love her.
mom, my brothers, and Dolly Parton, I know all about all I need to know.
um, so let me ask you a couple questions. So let your kids know this. When you came out, did you have a coming out song?
Um, well, the trying to get over the coming out, I do. Dolly, obviously, it's going to be a Dolly Parton song, but she sings a song called "I Can See the Light of a Clear Blue Morning."
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be okay, and that's my song.
Yeah.
That's pretty much been my whole life song.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're somebody who's generally had a very positive attitude towards life.
Well, attitude is everything, and maybe I was raised on a farm. There's not much time to sit and waller in your.
Yeah, you pull yourself up and you get going, right? But,
Not
but,
easy for everybody. So, and I
right.
get
It,
that.
and it's not easy for everybody, but also too, you and I have very similar values that way. But the thing is when we both came out, both of us will tell you that it laid us out, because it was just letting go of so many things and also letting in so many things. And so, when I talk about coming out later in life, I talk about the grief of it, and it's like it's this thing where you're holding joy and grief in your hands at the same time, and navigating all that can be really, really difficult.
Oh my gosh, the grief.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I finally found therapy and the right therapist. That was all. We could talk for days.
Yeah, we could talk for days.
When I found the right one, she said, you're mourning, and that's okay. And I did. I mourned for the longest time. I mourned my spouse, whom I still to this day and will always love greatly. I mourned my marriage. I mourned the way my family was. There's just so, I mean, when somebody passes away, you mourn just missing them, possibly. There's just so much to mourn when you've come out of the closet and your whole life has evolved into something new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it just hits you from all sides. And if you can't do it standing on your feet, that's okay. You will get through it, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be amazed at yourself if you just keep that forward motion.
Yeah. And the thing is Christine and I were grown-ass women when this happened. And so I can only imagine how hard it is for the teenagers and the young 20-somethings. Sometimes I think, Christine and I we grieved what we lost. And I think with the younger ones, I've always imagined they grieve what they thought their future was going to be. Like they thought how their life was going to be and how their relationships with their family was going to be. And some maintain all that. That's not everybody's experience. But some kids have some serious stuff happen to them that, yeah.
Well, I think what I'm trying to do, I have learned in these last 6 months that these kids, some of them come from difficult homes. Some of them come from good homes, but that religious thing is still there. But I've got so much to say about these kids. I love them so much. But it's the community I have to change. It's the homes they come from. I can't change much, but I think I can. If I keep at it, I can change the way they feel about gay people. That gay people can still get married, they can have children, they can be your lovely son or daughter, they can be all these things and still be gay. And if parents only knew that, when your child comes out to you, believe them.
Yes, believe them. Don't tell them it's a phase.
Exactly. Believe them. Yeah,
believe them.
I knew something was up, something was amiss when I was very young. So I can tell you that yes, kids do know from a young age.
Well, yeah.
They know what makes them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And also, too, the difference now than when Christine and I were young is that there's visibility. So, like, I didn't even have the words to explain what was going on, except, I did think I was gay, but I didn't, know where to go. I didn't have examples because there wasn't that when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And so what's happened with these kids is they do have visibility. They do see queer characters. They see queer characters on Nickelodeon and Disney and all the other shows. And so they know it's a possibility now. So I think even more than ever, when your kids tell you that they're not straight or that they're trans, we believe them. We just believe them. And that's, yeah. And saying something is a phase is often diminishing it.
Absolutely.
It is diminishing it. So when you, in your travels, have you ever found a good book that you loved or something that's really changed your perspective on things, Christine?
Well, you caught a gal that's not the biggest reader.
Okay. Movie or TV? I don't care.
Yeah, Yeah, seriously, next question.
Okay, next question. Next question is how, after everything you've been through, how is your life right now? Describe it.
It's happy. It's very happy. And like I said, it's in forward motion. I'm not where I want to be, but I can see it on the horizon, and I'm working towards it, and I'm getting there. And, I've gone through a lot of this on hope, knowing what I want, knowing what I think is for me, and never giving up hope on that, and trusting my intuition and my heart. I'm a kind of gal that leads by my heart, less my brain. Which
Mhm.
I'm trying as a business owner to be a little bit more leading with my brain, but
Mhm.
but but it's happy. It's getting there.
No.
And it's a every day. I can't wait to see where it's going. I can't wait to see who comes into my life. I can't wait to see what that looks like and where my business goes. I never once coming out for many until just a couple years ago did I think I would own a company where I would be spreading a positive message about being queer. Would I be running a support group and helping other people avoid the heartache that I felt? That I might be standing on a stage here in a month and leading kids in gay fun. you know, you know, it's just it's beyond what I can imagine. So I can honestly tell anybody that's struggling, you just hang on, because you're going to amaze yourself.
Absolutely. And I completely agree. And I know you've seen my story as well and where I've gone and stuff like that. So I completely agree. So Christine Terpening, I have such a hard time with your name. I don't know. Christine.
Happy Susan Company. Don't worry
Christine
about
from Happy Susan Company, an amazing t-shirt manufacturer and a soon-to-be nonprofit, I think, called I'll Be Your Rock. I am so happy to have you here today. I am so honored to know you. And I am so excited for the kids that you will be helping, serving, taking care of, and doing all the good work that you're doing within our community. I will have all of Christine's information in the show notes, and also hopefully a email or something where you can contact her if you have any questions. If you're somebody who really wants to start something in the rural America, we would love. I'm sure Christine would love to help you out.
Oh my gosh,
So,
I would. Yeah, I would help anybody start a chapter of I'll Be Your Rock.
yes.
Anyway, anytime.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Anne Marie.